This episode is brought to you by Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard of Anchor, you should definitely check them out. It's a super easy tool that anyone can use to create and distribute their podcast. It has everything you need, and you can do it all from your computer or even your phone. Need your podcast cover art? There's a tool. Music and sound effects? They have you covered. Want to record on the fly? It's easy with the app. Now you may be saying to yourself, I already have a podcast. No worries, just create your account, upload, and publish to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Looking for some walking around money? Anchor connects you with advertisers who match your brand. It's a one-stop shop for all of your podcasting needs. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started. Welcome to BizQuik, everyone. I am Corey.
And I'm Julie.
And today we have Rocco Cozza out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he is the owner of a boutique business and entertainment law firm. Welcome, Rocco.
That's right. You're listening to BizQuik. This is where Julie and Corey provide quick and useful information to small business owners. BizQuik is the podcast where small business owners get to showcase their businesses and receive expert advice and guidance in areas many entrepreneurs struggle with. And you, the listener, get solutions, tips, and tricks on real-world topics that many small business owners face. Julie and Corey are the experts small businesses hire when they need solutions. And the BizQuik podcast is just one way they deliver those solutions. Let's start the show.
Hey, Rocco, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate being here.
I'm going to dive right into the deep end of the pool with you. So you've had your law firm for 7 years where you work with small to medium-sized businesses. What's the most interesting conundrum you've ever helped a small business owner with?
Man, that's a pretty loaded question because there's a million different things I've helped clients with. I will tell you this: a lot of small business owners, I don't want to say most interesting conundrum, but the most common conundrum is when they try and either set up their company themselves through some online, website, or they go get documents off of Google that they think cover everything. And there was one situation, this was probably about 4 years ago. It was a partnership dispute. So these, two business owners, they started the business. Everybody loves each other in the beginning. You're in the honeymoon phase. They go and download this document off the internet. They thought it covered everything they needed to, and then everything just fell apart. And when they actually had a chance to look at the agreement that they put together, they didn't even have the right people's names within the agreement. Everything was completely wrong. So we had to basically start from scratch, rebuild things to then break them down again. So it was, I always encourage people like, hey, there are certain things you can do yourself, and I'm all for people saving money and learning things themselves, but there are certain things you definitely should not do. And that is one of those instances where they tried to put this partnership agreement themselves, didn't even read the agreement. They literally downloaded it, and it still had the names in it from the parties that they downloaded it from. This took months to resolve. So that's definitely one of the interesting ones that I've come across.
Wow. So pro tip for our listeners, go back and look at your documents and make sure you don't have John Smith and Jane Doe listed on them.
Yeah, that's definitely a tip. 100%.
Okay. So we were talking about being able to download forms off of the internet.
Yeah.
What are there ones that you simply just should not try and do yourself? Like, NDAs, when you're crafting an NDA that you're going to sign with clients, or partnership. What are the ones where you're like, get an attorney versus find something on the internet, but use a reputable source?
Yes. So here's what I always tell people, right? When it comes down to setting up your business, right? Whatever type of entity you form, be it a corporation, an LLC, a general or limited partnership, that is something you should 100% have an attorney do. There are those websites out there that say, form your LLC for $200, but you don't get it done the right way. And what I always tell people, I tend to be pretty blunt in my advice. And I tell people, if you're not willing to spend what it takes to set up your business the right way, you're probably not ready to be in business. So that's one. Now, things like, an NDA, those are pretty standard. So if you find one from a reputable source, unless you're getting into very complex IP or patents or software, you can use those a lot of times from on the internet. But setting up the company itself, that agreement that dictates the foundation. If you're not willing to pay for that, you need to rethink going into business, in my opinion.
What, like if a client came to you and because a lot of people we work with small businesses,
Sure.
money is always an issue.
Yep.
And it's always, forefront of their mind when they're talking to anybody. Do you recommend, like, would you push somebody away or not, say, hey, if you're trying to save some money, here's the things that I should do for you, but here's some things you could just do this on your own?
Absolutely. That's how I built my practice, right? I built the practice when I started that I built on a flat fee model. I do have clients that I bill hourly just because they're larger clients. There's no other way to do it. But the basis of my practice is flat fee. So if a client comes to me and say, hey, they need these certain things, I quote them a flat fee. But there are many times where I say, don't pay me to do that. Filing a copyright, that's something you can do yourself. A trademark, that's something you should probably have us do. But sometimes when they want to file like a trademark, it's premature. And I tell them, let's not even go there yet. But yeah, that's a good question, because I try and provide my clients the best advice possible in the moment. There are clients that come to me and want to do everything all at once. And I tell them, let's start here and spend money here, not here. And I tend to advise them along the way. And the way I operate as a lawyer, which is a lot different than other lawyers, is once a client engages me to do something, then I'm their lawyer. I encourage them to call me, text me, email me. I don't charge for those types of things. I'm there to help, and I want them to save money by spending 5 minutes on the phone with me instead of doing something that they now have to pay me thousands of dollars to fix.
I'm glad that you said that you operate a little bit different than most attorneys, because I was going to say to Corey, and now I feel less bad about saying it. I feel like we just found the one attorney that we could find that has high integrity, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I've always prided myself on the fact that when most people meet me, they don't guess I'm an attorney. And I want to keep it that way.
Yeah, no doubt. So, I'm curious what it is that made you interested in serving the small to mid-size business community, because I'm sure that, as an attorney, there's a lot of different directions you could have gone that would have been a lot more lucrative for you, or potentially more lucrative. So what made you go in this direction?
So one, I saw the need, right? So when I started my practice, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life since I was a kid. I was always about starting businesses. I've been involved in probably 15 other businesses throughout my career, from real estate to tech companies to social media marketing. But I saw this when I started my practice. I saw this need, right? There were these small to mid-sized companies that, they were getting fleeced by these big firms, charging them ridiculous amounts of money to do simple tasks. And I'll give you an example. When I first started my practice, this is how I knew this market needed served. A client came to me, and they were doing what's called a domestication, which is basically moving a company from one state to the other, to a new state, basically. And, I talked to them. I said, I can do this on a flat fee, quoted them a price. They said, okay, we're talking to 2 other law firms. We'll be back in touch with you. They called me 2 days later and hired me. And I just asked them, I said, out of curiosity, do you mind telling me what the other firms did? Now, the 2 other firms were both mid-sized law firms here in the Pittsburgh region. Neither one of them would quote a flat fee, and they all said it was going to be between $10,000 and $15,000. My fee was $1,500.
Wow.
So I said, okay, there's this need in this spot in the market. These clients are not getting served the right way. I just knew if I stayed small, nimble, and efficient, I can serve them in the best possible way and give them high quality legal advice at an affordable price.
Having such a competitive rate, as that, 10% of what your competitors have, probably means that you have to bring on more clients. So how do you balance that? Or are you able to, to work with just a smaller number of clients because you're a smaller firm?
So it's interesting because the firm has developed over the years, right? So I do have the larger clients that I'm servicing on an ongoing basis, but I average probably between 20 and 30 new clients a month, which, in my mind is the sweet spot. Now I have, 2 associates that work with me now, so we're kind of ramping up the marketing now. But I've been fortunate enough that throughout my entire career in my firm, I haven't really had to do much marketing. It's all been referrals. And that 20 to 30 a month has been the sweet spot. So I haven't, it's not a ton of clients that I have to bring on to keep that baseline, but it's enough where I'm constantly doing new things. And that's what I like. I like the challenge of new matters, new clients, new companies, new issues. So that's kind of where I like to keep it. But now as we're growing, we're going to start ramping up that marketing.
So you talk about a lot of your business coming from referrals, which is such a smart way for small business owners to be able to get to get business without having to market for it, is that referral. So how do you do customer, client testimonials for your clients? Do you ask for those, and if you do, how do you use them?
So we just started doing that recently, asking for it. We say, if you've had a good experience or any experience, if they would review us on Google or on Facebook. So that has been something I haven't focused on in the past, but I have focused on recently. The issue with that is lawyers, we have certain advertising rules that we have to comply with. So it's hard to just go out and you can't ask for positive referrals. You have to you have to be very specific with the wording when it's a client testimonial. So there's some nuances to that part of advertising, but we do ask for clients to just leave reviews because we think that helps future clients to see how we perform as a law firm, both, with certain clients that like us and some that don't like us.
We wanted to take a quick break to tell you more about SB Pace, the small business consulting company that makes this podcast possible. SB Pace, which stands for Small Business Planning, Advising, Coaching, Expertise, focuses solely on helping small businesses and entrepreneurs. Are you looking to start a small business of your own? SB Pace can get you up and running with a solid foundation that's built to last. Are you an existing small business in a slump or just looking for ways to improve what you do? We can help with that. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? SB Pace is the partner you need. You can find out more about SB Pace and what we have to offer by visiting our website, sbpace.com.
I'm curious about the entertainment side of your business.
Sure.
What exactly is that?
So entertainment law is kind of this misnomer, right? It's just business law within the entertainment industry. So I kind of fell into it, right? We're in Pittsburgh. We have a lot of former athletes and former entertainers in the area. And just in the circles I've been in, I've come in contact with quite a few of them. So I started working with them, representing them with regards to their business dealings, helping them set up companies, helping them set up foundations, and just really giving them advice in a lot of the business deals they've been involved in. And it's a really fun industry to be in. When I started, I was working more with the talent, the entertainers and the artists. I've gravitated more towards the company side of things now because you find that the talent can be challenging. They have very high expectations of service with very low expectations of paying. So it's definitely been a challenge.
Well, and not to mention, I'm sure there's egos that come along with it.
Absolutely.
And they're famous for a reason, so their schedule's probably already full with other things going on. So yeah, I can see that being a challenge for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to setting up businesses for small business owners, do you have any guidance that people should be looking at when it comes to either an LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp or however they're setting it up? It's one of the most common questions that I see in groups on Facebook where people are getting ready to set up a business and they don't know which one to choose.
Sure. So that's a great question. I think there is a lot of misinformation out there. I will tell you this, that 99.5% of small businesses probably would end up in an LLC. Because the reason why, so when you said S Corp, right? Mm-hmm. The only reason to be an S Corp is for the tax benefit of it. Because an LLC, from a liability perspective, when you form an entity, the first reason you do it is for liability protection. It protects your personal assets from any liability for anything that happens in the business. So an LLC or a corporation really gives you the same liability protection. So long as you're following corporate formalities, you set it up the right way. The S corporation, that's an election you make with the IRS to say, I want to be a tax as an S corporation. There's a tax benefit to it. What most people don't realize is that when you form an LLC, you can elect for that tax status without having to form a corporation. So for instance, say here in Pennsylvania, right, when I set up an LLC for a client, I charge a flat fee of $700 plus the state filing fee of $125. So you're $825 all in. If I was setting up a corporation for someone, that fee's almost doubled because it's just a lot more work involved. There's the filing fee. Then you also have to advertise in 2 newspapers that you filed this corporation, which adds an additional $400 in cost. The only reason to be that corporation is for that S-Corp election for the tax purpose. So there's really no reason to be anything but an LLC for most small businesses. Now, there are those companies that they may get venture funding down the road or try and get angel investors. So they may set up as a corporation for that purpose. But if your market is small to mid-sized businesses, 99.5% of them will be LLCs when you kind of look at all the facts involved.
Okay, that makes great sense.
What are some of the most common pitfalls you see when people are setting up their business or just running their business in general?
Yeah, so when setting it up, they don't plan for divorce. That's the biggest pitfall, right? You get 2 people, they're in a partnership, they have this great idea, they want to set up this business, everybody's happy and they think it's going to work, they're going to become millionaires and nothing's going to happen. Well, I always advise them, we have to plan for divorce. What if you hate each other in a year? What if you disagree? What if one of you dies or becomes disabled? People don't like to do that, 1, because it just takes work to do. 2, you have to think of things you don't like to think of. So that's the biggest mistake people make when they're setting up a business. When it comes to running the business, I really feel the biggest mistake people make is not using appropriate contracts or documentation for the things they do. I can't tell you, and I've had clients, large clients, tens of millions of dollars that do deals on a handshake, which to me is just the biggest mistake a business can make because, yeah, we may all like each other and agree and we're going to do this deal. But if one of those parties gets fired, no one knows what that deal's about. And if there's nothing on paper, you're screwed. So that's the biggest mistake I see when they're actually running the business.
It's all about protecting yourself and protecting your business and the assets.
Yeah.
You're a small business owner representing small business owners. Can you share a lesson with our listeners that you learned along the way that maybe can help our listeners, like just something that you learned the hard way as a small business owner?
Where do you want me to begin? There's plenty of things.
Tell us all of them. Tell us them all.
The biggest thing I learned, as a lawyer and type A personality, we're control freaks. I want to control everything. I had to learn the hard way to let go of certain things. There are just certain things that I shouldn't be spending my time doing. I need to know enough about my finances, but I don't need to be my CPA. That's why I have a CPA. I need to know enough about the insurance I need, but I don't need to be an insurance broker. I think a lot of small business owners, they try to understand and do everything because they don't want to pay for those other services. I was the same way. Once I learned that, hey, these people are professionals for a reason, and I pay them the money to do what they are going to do, it helped my business tremendously because it allowed me to focus on what I was good at, stay in my lane, and really exponentially grow my business. So I encourage everybody to really look at what you do every day, figure out what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing, and the stuff you shouldn't be doing, find the right people to do it for you.
Yeah, that's a piece of advice very similar. One of our clients, he owns his own insurance brokerage or an agency, whatever you would call it. And he's just talking about like insurance ease, so to speak, where he's like, don't let anybody but an insurance expert tell you that they can decipher whatever's in there. He's like, there's a reason why I do what I do.
Exactly.
So,
and that's advice that we give to our clients all the time. And that, find the things that you're good at. Do those. That's what you started the business for, to do those things, and then outsource the other stuff. There are people who are experts, and I've had a lot of conversations in the last couple of days of people who are hesitant to spend money on things in the beginning and then end up spending, 4 or 5 times the amount they would spend if they just outsource it, because either they make mistakes or they have to purchase and repurchase, and it just ends up being where you think you're being cost effective and you're really, really just being cost reckless at the end of the day.
I mean, that brings back to the story I told you earlier about the partnership dispute, right? They spent probably $10,000 getting that situation resolved, when if they would have came to me in the beginning, it would have cost them $700 to put the right document in place. So just think about that. They spent, 15x what they would have spent in the beginning to fix a problem that could have been avoided. So that's really what I tell all my clients. Like, look, there are things I'll tell you to spend money on, things you don't need to spend money on. And I think as a small business owner, you have to be comfortable understanding that and being comfortable spending money on the right things and on the right team. And if you're not, you may not be ready to be in business.
They 15x'd in the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
All right. We need to start wrapping up. Tell our listeners where they can find you, Rocco.
Absolutely. They can go to my website, which is just cozzalaw.com. It's COZZALAW.com. You can also find us on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/Cozza Law. And I'm pretty active on Instagram as well. And that's just Instagram. My username is the Rocco Cozza, all one word.
Question for you. I do have it now.
Okay.
Because you said you're on Instagram, you're pretty active on there. I don't have any social media, so I'm really not even sure how it's used. How do you like interact with your followers or whatever on Instagram?
Instagram has actually been a great marketing source for me because I use Instagram really as my personal brand. It's where I show the ins and outs of my life, both professionally and personally. And I've gotten so many clients through Instagram simply because they get to see who I actually am as a person. And they direct message me. They want to work with me because I show my kids, I show the crazy things they do. I show that I'm not perfect, that I struggle just like every other entrepreneur. I'll go on my story sometimes or do lives where I'm talking about the struggles of running my law practice. And it tends to resonate with people because it's authentic. And that has truly helped grow my business by just putting it out there that, hey, I'm just like you, have the same struggles, but I'm here to help.
It's all part of that know, like, trust, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When people know you and they like you,
yeah,
they start to trust you and they want to do business with you. And I really think a lot of people fail to recognize the importance of really being yourself, being authentic on social media, because this is one of the things that we've talked about a lot since we started our business is the importance of really being who we are, because we don't ever want anybody to be surprised when they start to do business with us, where they're like, that you're not even close to the person I thought you were on social media. Like, we just don't ever want to put ourselves in that situation. So if being authentically ourselves detracts people from us, that's okay, because then we probably weren't meant to do business with them anyway.
Exactly. I always say, look, people are going to like me and some people aren't, and that's okay. Like, I'm not for everybody. I'm a very to the point lawyer. I'm blunt. I'm straightforward. I don't over lawyer things. I don't write somebody a 10-page memo when a 3-minute phone call will do the trick. And some people don't like that. They want that pretentious lawyer. That's not me. And I'm okay with it. And you're right. It's just about being authentic, real, and who you are. And you put it out there, it tends to come back, in tenfold.
It does. As I like to say, we ain't the same.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Well, thanks again, Rocco. Thanks for the time and all the information.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, this was great. And you can connect with us on social media. We are on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and the Facebook. You can also find us on our websites, sbpace.com and bizquickpodcast.com.
And while you're out there listening to our pods on our sites, go ahead and subscribe to the pod, like us, and give us a review. We love feedback. So let us know what you like, what you don't like.
We do like feedback, any feedback. Also, if you're interested in hearing us cover any specific topics, just reach out and let us know. We are happy to track down the guests to cover those topics. Oh, we wrote a book. It's called Seriously? Now What? A Small Business Guide to Disaster Preparedness. It's available on Amazon. You can link to it through our SB Pace website, and it has a companion workbook.
That's it for the show. I'm Corey.
I'm Julie.
And this was BizQuik, helping small businesses across America.